So now let's start with amendment in chapter 3, that is charge of GST. Point number 1, manufacturer of aerated water and supplier of aerated water cannot opt to pay tax under composition levy. And notification number 2 2019 dated 7th March 19. Okay. Now again, this is an old amendment. As we all know that manufacture of certain notified goods are not eligible to offer composition scheme, that is ice cream and other edible ice whether or not containing cocoa, pan masala, tobacco, manufactured tobacco substitutes. In that list, one more is added, one more manufacturer is added, manufacturer of aerated water and supplier of aerated water. Okay. So supplier of aerated water and manufacturer of aerated water cannot opt for the scheme. So now let's read. As per section 10 subsection 2 clause E of CGST Act, read with notification number, this is a manufacturer of following goods cannot opt for composition scheme. So they have given the tariff item subheading heading of chapter. Now description is ice cream and other edible ice whether or not containing cocoa, pan masala, all goods that is tobacco and manufactured tobacco substitutes. Further, as per the notification dated 7th March 19, a registered person making supplies of the above goods is also not eligible to pay concessional tax under the said notification. Okay. With effect from 1/10/19, notification dated 7th March 19 and notification dated 7th March 19, that is 14 2019 notification and 2 2019 notification have been amended to include aerated water in the above list of negative goods. Thus, now this is the main thing which you need to remember. Thus, now a manufacturer of aerated water will also not be eligible to offer composition scheme. Likewise, a supplier of aerated water will also not be eligible to pay concessional tax under notification number 2 2019 dated 7th March 19. Okay. Okay, means supplier of aerated water also is not eligible for concessional tax, that is presumptive scheme. Okay. Now next one, amendments in reverse charge notification. Now point number A is payment of tax under reverse charge is made optional in case of supply of services by an author by way of transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright relating to original literary work to a publisher. What is the amendment is this? Earlier what was used to be given, just see this chart, first one, in that in the category of service supplier, author name was also there, author was also included, and in the recipient publisher was also included. Now they have just separated, they have just bifurcated this, they have made separate table for author and publisher, means for author as a supplier of service and publisher as recipient of service, because because in this case RCM is optional in case of author, so they have just bifurcated this, else everything is same. Just one amendment is there, that in case when the service is supplied by author to the recipient of service, then publisher is liable to pay tax under RCM, but this RCM is optional, means in this case author can also pay tax in forward charge. This is only the difference, that's why they have just segregated this. Okay. Now let's read. Earlier, tax on supply of service by an author, music composer, photographer, artist by way of transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright relating to original literary, dramatic, musical or artistic works was payable under reverse charge by publisher, music company, producer. This entry has been substituted as under. Okay. Category of supply of service by a music composer, photographer, artist or the like by way of transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright covered under section 13 subsection 1 clause A of Copyright Act 1957 relating to original dramatic, musical or artistic work to a music composer, producer or the like. The supplier of services, music composer, photographer, artist or the like, and recipient of services, music company, producer or the like located in the taxable territory. This is, as we studied before, the recipient of service, this music composer, producer or the like located in taxable territory, they are liable to pay GST under reverse charge. Okay, there is no change in this. there is just change in the second table. Simultaneously, a new entry has been inserted for transfer of copyrights by an author to publisher. This new entry reads as under. Now see this: supply of service by an author by way of transfer permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright covered under section 13 subsection 1 clause A of the Copyright Act 1957 relating to original literary works to a publisher. Now supplier of service is author over here and recipient of service publisher located in the taxable territory. So in this case, recipient is liable to pay tax under RCM, but there is one what is the amendment? The amendment is there. The recipient is optional, means RCM to pay tax under RCM is optional in this case. Author can also pay tax in this under forward charge. However, an author can choose to pay tax under forward charge if he has taken registration under CGST Act and filed a declaration in the prescribed form that he exercises the option to pay GST on the said service under forward charge in accordance with section 9(1) of CGST Act and to comply with all the provisions as they apply to a person liable for paying the tax in relation to the supply of any goods and or services, and that he shall not withdraw the said option within a period of 1 year from the date of exercising such option. Point number 2 is he makes a declaration on the invoice issued by him in prescribed form to the publisher. Author can pay under forward charge, but if he has taken registration and he has filed the declaration that he wants to exercise his option to pay tax under CGST Act, means under GST Act only, and he'll not withdraw the option within a period of one year, and he shall make this declaration on the invoice that is issued by him to the publisher. Then only author can pay tax under forward charge. Okay, there was option to pay tax under forward charge, that's why this is segregated from the above services. Rest, there is no amendment in this. Okay, now next one is new service has been added under reverse charge. So new service under reverse charge mechanism, serial number 15, category of supply of service what they have given: service provided by way of renting of any motor vehicle designed to carry passengers where the cost of fuel is included in the consideration charge from the service recipient provided to a body corporate. Okay, two services has been added, so let's discuss the first one. Okay, supplier of service in this case is any person other than a body corporate who supplies the service to a body corporate and does not issue an invoice charging CGST at 6% to the service recipient, and recipient of services any body corporate located in the taxable territory. So now let's first see this new service which has been added in detail. See over here, clarification regarding RCM on renting of motor vehicle service. Service by way of renting of any motor vehicle designed to carry passengers where the cost of fuel is included in the consideration charge from the service recipient are taxable in the following two rates. Now in this case, when this renting of motor vehicle service is provided to the service recipient, and so supplier is other than body corporate, recipient is body corporate in taxable territory, then under RCM, then the body corporate is liable to pay tax under RCM. Okay, now see this. Now in this case, GST will be taxable in the following two rates. First is 5% and second is 2%. Now 5% rate is paid when service provider of service, means when the supplier of service has taken only limited ITC, means if he has taken the ITC of only input services in the same line of business, then 5% GST is leviable, and 12% GST is leviable where the supplier of service opts to pay GST at the said rate. In this case, there is no restriction on availing ITC on the goods and services used in supplying renting of motor vehicle service by service supplier. Okay, so let's analyze this. Just see this chart. In case of each of the above two rates, the person liable to pay tax will be as follows. Okay, see, GST is payable at the rate 5%, and if the supplier is other than body corporate and if the recipient is body corporate, then RCM is applicable. Then in reverse charge, person liable to pay GST is recipient. Okay, but see, if the GST payable is 5% and if the supplier is body corporate, No, just see that scenario only. If the GST is payable at 5%, supplies other than body corporate, and recipient is other than body corporate. So obviously RCB is not applicable. Forward charge is applicable. So under forward charge, supplier will pay. Now see this next scenario. If the supply GST payable is 5%, if the supplier is body corporate, then also forward charge is applicable, and person liable to pay GST is a supplier. And GST payable is 12%, means when the supplier service opts to pay GST at 12%, then he'll pay GST at 12%, means when limited ITC is not taken, then 12% rate can be paid. Then the GST is payable at the rate 12%. Okay. Now this read this note. It is important to note here that when any service is placed under RCM, the supplier shall not charge any tax from the service recipient. Any tax, as this is the settled procedure in law under RCM. Thus, in this case, supplier does not issue an invoice charging GST at 12%. It is obvious that in any service is placed under RCM, then supplier shall not charge any tax from service recipient. Okay. Now, second edition was this one, serial number 16. Service of lending of securities under Securities Lending Scheme 1997 of Securities and Exchange Board of India is amended. Now in this case, supplier is lender, that is a person who deposits the securities registered in his name or in the name of any other person duly authorized on his behalf with an approved intermediary for the purpose of lending under the scheme of SEBI. And in this case, recipient is borrower, that is a person who borrows the security under the scheme through an approved intermediary of SEBI. Now let's read this in detail. There is nothing in this new service. In this case, what actually happens is there is one lender. Just see this chart. This lender, he lends the security to the approved intermediary, then approved intermediary lends to borrower, and in return borrower pays the the lending fee, that is not paid directly to the lender but indirectly to the lender. Okay. And that RCM is payable, means GST is payable under RCM. Let's read this in detail. Clarification regarding taxability of supply of securities under Securities Lending Scheme. SEBI has prescribed the Securities Lending Scheme 1997 for the purpose of facilitating lending and borrowing of securities. Under the scheme, lender of please pay attention. Under the scheme, lender of securities lend to a borrower through an approved intermediary to a borrower under an agreement for a specified period with the condition that the borrower will return equivalent securities of the same type or the class at the end of the specified period along with the corporate benefits accruing on the securities borrowed. Means after the specified period, at the end of the specified period, borrower will return those securities as it is, as borrower has borrowed the securities, he have not purchased it, so borrower will return to the lender at the end of the specified period along with the corporate benefits, means along with the corporate benefits which lender was actually entitled to. Borrower was not actually entitled for those benefits, so those dividend and all. So borrower will return those corporate benefits also with the securities at the end of the specified period to the lender. Now next one is the transaction takes place through an electronic screen based order matching mechanism provided by recognized stock exchange in India. There is an anonymity between the lender and the borrower since there is no direct agreement between them. Okay, they don't know each other as there is no direct agreement between them. The lender earns lending fee for lending the securities to the borrower. The security lending mechanism is depicted in the diagram below. Okay, you can see the mechanism. In the above chart, what is happening? First one is lender is a person who deposits the securities registered in his name or in the name of any other person duly authorized on his behalf with an approved intermediary for the purpose of lending under the scheme. Okay. Now second, what is happening? Borrower is a person who borrows the securities under scheme through an approved intermediary. Now what is who's approved intermediary? Approved intermediary is a person duly registered under SEBI under the guidelines of scheme through whom the lender will deposit the securities for lending and borrower will borrow the securities. So they have explained the mechanism. Now It may be noted for the purpose of GST Act, securities shall have the same meaning as assigned to it in clause H of section 2 of Securities Contract Act 1956. Section 2 subsection 101 of CGST Act. The definition of service as per section 2 subsection 102 of the CGST Act is extracted as below. Okay, an important thing is going to be discussed now. Please pay attention. Now explanation is given. Now first read this one. Service means anything other than goods, money and securities, but includes activities relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other mode from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. We all know the definition of service, and that securities are excluded. Okay, now what they have given explanation: for the removal of doubts, it is hereby clarified that the expression services includes facilitating or arranging transaction in securities. Okay, securities as defined in clause H of section 2 of Securities Contract Act 1956 are not covered in the definition of goods under section 2 subsection 52 and services under section 2 subsection 102 of the CGST Act. We all know that it's not covered in the definition of goods nor in the definition of services. Okay, securities are not covered. Therefore, a transaction securities which involves disposal of securities is not a supply of GST and hence not taxable. Again, I am repeating this line. Therefore, a transaction in securities which involves disposal of securities, that is not supply in GST and that is not taxable. So, securities which are excluded in goods and services, they are talking about disposal of securities is excluded. So, the explanation added to the definition of service with effect from 1/2/19, 1st Feb 19, that is, including facilitating or arranging transaction securities, is only clarificatory in nature and does not have any bearing on the taxability of service under discussion, lending of securities in past since 1st July 2017, but relates to facilitating or arranging transaction securities. Now see this important one. The activity of lending of securities, the new service which is added, this activity of lending of securities, that is not a transaction in securities, as it does not involve disposal of securities. So securities are not disposed of, securities are just lended. Borrower is borrowing the securities, borrower is not purchasing the securities, lender is just lending a security, he is not disposing a security. So lending of securities is not a transaction in securities, as it does not involve disposal of securities. The scheme under the securities lending scheme doesn't treat lending of securities as disposal of securities, and therefore it is not excluded from the definition of service. I hope you can link this thing. It is not treated, this lending is not treated as disposal of securities, and therefore it is not excluded from service. From service, only disposal of securities is excluded, and this lending of securities is not disposal of securities, so therefore it is not excluded from the definition of service. Now again what they have said, the lender temporarily lends the securities held by him to the borrower and charges lending fee for the same from the borrower. That is clear. The borrower securities can further sell or buy the securities and is required to return the lended securities after the stipulated period of time. The lending fee charged from the borrower securities has the character of consideration, and this activity is taxable in GST since 1/7/2017. Okay, this lending service is given, and in return lender is getting lending fee. So it's a kind of service of this one, facilitating or arranging securities, arranging transaction securities. So this is the service, and in return lending fee is payable to the lender, and this activity is taxable in GST. Apart from the above, the activities of the one more activity is taking place, activities of intermediaries. Because when the borrower is lending to intermediary, and then intermediary is lending to borrower, so in between intermediary is getting commission from lender as well, from borrower as well. So apart from the above, the activities of intermediaries facilitating lending and borrowing securities for commission fee are also taxable separately. So that is different service. Borrower is lender is borrowing to, means lender is lending to borrower, borrower is giving lending fee to the lender. That is one service that is taxable in GST. Now another service is intermediary is facilitating lending and borrowing of security. So in return, intermediary is getting commissioner fee, that is also taxable separately. So two kinds of services are involved in this. For the past period, that is from 1/7/17 to 30th September 19, from 1st July 17 to 30th September 19, GST is payable under forward charge by the lender, and request may be made by the lender, that is supplier, to SEBI to disclose the information about the borrower for discharging GST under forward charge. The nature of tax payable the nature of tax payable shall be IGST. With effect from 1st October 2019, the borrower security, with effect from 1st October 2019, what happens? The borrower of security shall be liable to discharge GST under reverse charge mechanism. The nature of GST to be paid shall be IGST under RCM. Okay, with effect from 1st October 19, there is no forward charge. Under reverse charge, borrower is liable to pay GST. And that too IGST, means the nature of GST is IGST. So last clarification, point number 5, clarification on issue of GST on airport levies. So let me discuss this in short once. Just imagine there are three persons. First one is airlines, second is passenger, and third one is airport operator. Now what happens over here is there's two terms known as PSF and UDF. One is passenger service fee and the second one is user development fee. So these two fees are charged to passengers. Okay. So these two services are charged to passenger for like development fee and service fee are charged by the airport operator, but airport operator can't directly collect this from the passenger. So on behalf of airport operator, this airlines collect this fees, this PSF and UDF from the passenger, and then it remits to airport operator, and in return airlines charge collection fee. Okay, so what they have clarified in this, that the charges which are collected by airline operator, means this fees which are collected by the this fees which are collected by the airlines from the passenger, these are liable to GST. So under forward charge, supplier, this airport operator is liable to pay GST on PSF and UDF. And one more service is involved in this, that is collection charges. Means one more service of collection service is involved. So in the collection charges also, airlines are supposed to pay the tax under forward charge, and airport operator will take the IDC of the same. Okay, basically two services are involved. One is service from airport operator to passenger. Okay, and consideration is PSF and UDF, and in that consideration supplier will pay the tax, supplier will pay GST. And second service is provided by airlines to the airport operator, that is collection service, and in return collection charges are received by the airlines operator, and in that airlines will pay the GST on collection charges under forward charge, and airport operator will take the IDC of the same. Now read this once. PSF, passenger service fee, is charged under Rule 88 of the Aircraft Rules 1937, according to which the airport licensee may collect PCF from embarking passengers at such rates as specified by the central government. According to the rule, the airport licensee shall utilize the said fee for infrastructure and facilitation of the passengers. Okay, airport licensee means they are talking about airport operator. They are supposed to utilize this fees for the infrastructure and facilitation of the passengers. Now UDF, user development fee, is levied under 89 of the aircraft rules, which provides that the licensee may levy and collect at a major airport the user development fee at such rate as may be determined under clause B of subsection 1 of section 13 of Airport Economic Regulatory Authority of India Act 2008. Though the rule does not prescribe the specific purpose of levy and whether it is to be charged from the airlines or the passengers. However, it is seen from section 2 subsection 9 of the Airport Economic Regulatory Authority of India Act 2008 that the authority which manages the airport is eligible to levy and charge UDF from the embarking passengers at any airport. Means PSF and UDF both will be charged by the airport operator from the passenger, but it will not be collected directly by the airport operator. It will be collected through airline. Means airline will collect from the passenger and remit to the airport operator, and the passengers service fee which is collected, that will be utilized for infrastructure and facilitation of the passengers. Now third para, further Director General of Civil Aviation has clarified wide order dated 13th September 2010 that in order to avoid inconvenience to passengers and for smooth and orderly air transport or airport operations, the UDF shall be collected from the passengers by the airlines at the time of issue of air ticket, and the same shall be remitted to the Airports Authority of India in line system or procedure in vogue. For this, collection charges of rupees 5 shall be receivable by the airlines from AAI, Airport Authority of India, that is airport operator they are talking about, which shall not be passed on to the passengers in any manner. The above facts clearly indicate that PSF and UDF are charged by airport operator for providing the service to passengers. Section 2 subsection 31 of the CGST Act states that consideration in relation to the supply of goods or services or both includes any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services or both, whether by the recipient or by any other person. Thus, PSF and UDF charged by airport operator are consideration for providing services to passengers. Thus, services provided by an airport operator to passengers against consideration in the form of UDF and PSF are liable to GST. UDF was also liable to service tax. The airport operator shall pay GST on PSF and UDF collected by them from the passengers through the airlines. Since the airport operator are collecting PSF and UDF inclusive of GST, there is no question of their not paying GST collected by them to the government. I hope it's clear till here. Now, the collection charges paid by the airport operator to the airlines are a consideration for the services provided by the airlines to the airport operator, and the airline shall be liable to pay GST on the same under forward charge. IDC of the same will be available with the airport operator. Okay, so this completes our amendment in chapter 3, that is charge of GST.